Tomb Raider is directed by Roar Athog. I'm sorry if I'm not getting that name correctly. And this film stars Alicia Vikander, Dominic West, and Walton Goggins. And this is based on the popular series of Tomb Raider games that came out in the 90s and are still going to this day, actually. And this film deals with Lara Croft, portrayed by Alicia Vikander, who goes on a search for her father that went missing to look for this to do research on this ancient queen known as Himiko, who is basically a queen that was trying to give command of the power of life and death. And along the way, she encounters help from a guy named Lu Ren, and in Hong Kong, and they end up going to an island together in order to search for her father. While along the way, they encounter a villain named Matthias Vogel, portrayed by Walton Goggins, who is actually in search of the tomb that Richard, Lara Croft's father, was looking for. Now, a little backstory. Now, I haven't really played a lot of the Tomb Raider games. I've actually owned quite a lot of them. I actually have the first 5 on the original PlayStation 1, and I also have some of the other ones on PS2, but I haven't really fully played them. I've only played about the first 3 games, or I want to say I've actually the first 5 games. So as far as what I've beaten, so there's been some ones I haven't played recently that have come out, primarily the one that came out in 2013. That was pretty much the reboot of the franchise. But I hear that these current games that they've pretty much came out with, they've made it to where they've rebooted the franchise in a more grittier aspect, because the original games that came out were like fun adventure type games that I really enjoyed, and they were hard as hell, but I really got a kick out of them because just having to climb on stuff and swing through vines and everything, it always fascinated me. And then when I later played games such as the Uncharted series, it led such an impact to the adventure genre that I really like the way that they incorporate so much of the worlds that they put into these games. And when I was hearing that there was a movie coming out with Tomb Raider, it actually got me kind of excited for it, because to be honest, I've seen parts of the original Lara Croft film or Tomb Raider film with Angelina Jolie, but I haven't fully watched it from what I remember, and I never really watched the Cradle of Life, so I can't really judge that one. But from what I remember from the original Tomb Raider from Angelina Jolie, I did have a lot of fun with that one too, but I can't really judge it because it's been a long time since I really paid attention with it. So that's one I would have to rewatch recently to kind of give my own interpretation of it if I ever decided to review it or whatever. But anyway, going back to the new film, in the last, I'd say, decade, we've had pretty much a long trend of video game movies that have done poorly. And knowing that the last couple movies that I've seen that have been pretty bad, Resident Evil Final Chapter and Assassin's Creed, it really makes me feel like at this point they pretty much didn't have any. I didn't really think they were going to do much with the franchise or with video game films, because even when I saw the trailer for the new Tomb Raider film, I wasn't really hyped for it. I kind of just thought it was going to be just, your generic type action movie, and it would probably just be serviceable at best. But much to my surprise, I can honestly say that I actually quite enjoyed this film. In fact, I actually will admit this is probably the best video game adaptation I've seen since the first Resident Evil, or even the original Mortal Kombat from 1995. Now, this film does have its flaws, don't get me wrong, but I will say that as a film, it really does work for it trying to incorporate stuff from the games and everything, at least from what I've heard from fans, and also the way that the film just is a piece of popcorn entertainment. And that's what the film really is. It's a very fun ride. Now, to get my pros out of the way, I can honestly say that Alicia Vikander, I'm sorry, I hope I'm getting that name correctly, I really bought as Lara Croft. She really encompasses the role. She has her emotional moments. She's really built for the role. I really think. I know a lot of people disagreed with the way that she was kind of built, but I actually thought she was built pretty good for the role of Lara Croft, and she really carried a lot of the film together very excellent. Especially on some of the things they do to where they show a lot of vulnerability with their character, because you see her going through so much where she's getting beaten down. She's like she's having to hold on to like this abandoned. This destructed airplane that's on a waterfall at one point. Like, there's a lot of things that for a first film that really captures a lot of what an action hero can do. and I really enjoyed that they gave her that vulnerability. And I also got into some of her backstory that they dealt with her and her father, and I was very interested as it went along. And another big pro I have is I love the guy that she later meets, Lou Ren. I forgot the actor's name, but from what I heard, he's from that show called Into the Badlands, and I thought he really was great too. And I thought him and her had great chemistry, and especially some of the funny moments they have together where they're bickering, where they're bantering back and forth. So he was really great. And then I also like Dominic West, the guy who portrays Laura Croft's father. I thought he was good, but he's not really in it a whole lot. But I mean, for what he was given, he was fine. One of the other things too is I like Walton Goggins as an actor, and I think that he was great casting for the role of the villain of Matthias Vogel. And they do give him something. As on a performance level, I do like his performance. I think that he is very captivating, and he really pulls off the look of the villain pretty well. But I'll get to, there's a con I have later on that I'll get into. But I thought his performance was good. And then some of my other biggest pros I have is I love the way that the film is trying to put in a lot of details from the games, especially some of the older ones where you get to see some of the later traps that they set up, which I won't spoil, but it comes into later play in the film that I found pretty awesome. And then I also enjoyed some of the other parts where Laura's having to swing on vines, and there's actually some pretty intense moments that made me feel like I felt really like involved with the character, like on the edge of her life. Like that whole scene with the waterfall I thought was really great, where she's holding on and everything, and then there's these other parts where she gets wounded and she's having to fight this one guy, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but it does really get interesting how it goes along with the way that she's trying to look for her father and everything. And so the action was good. While the action is very good, it does seem like it can be very generic at times from stuff that we've seen before, but for the most part I was still having a good time with the film, especially in parts where she's using her bow and arrows. And then one of my other biggest pros I have is I love the comedy that they add into this film, because the film is trying to give balance to both the gritty aspects of some of the current games, but also some of the fun moments that you would probably see in a movie like this where it deserves it. I thought I was smirking a lot, and I was having a great time with it. Now, to get to some of my cons, I'll say that while I do find the film very entertaining, I will say that it does feel like a by-the-numbers kind of action film that we've seen in other films, because while the action is well done, there are some shots where some of the CGI is noticeable, but not too badly. But it also felt like the action was just kind of there in parts where they didn't really do a lot of variety, so to speak, because a lot of it is just basically Laura having to get away from the expeditionists that are trying to go after her and everything, and then she comes back to later shoot them with their arrows and everything like that. But then when we get to some of the later parts with the traps and everything, I was really getting into that stuff, but I felt like the film could have done a lot more with it. And we could have also seen some more with the puzzle-solving aspects, because I remember, like I said, I can't judge it from the games, because the games, because I haven't played them, but I do kind of wish that they could have done more of the puzzle-solving aspects, because I remember, at least from the original games, that you had to do a lot of that in a lot of parts, and it was interesting that they did it in a couple scenes in the film, but I just felt like we could have done more with it. And then my other biggest con I have is, while I enjoy Walton Goggins' performance, I did feel like he was underdeveloped as a villain, because he didn't really have much of a personality, so to speak. He didn't really have much development with his character. So that was one thing I definitely did find troubling, because I thought he was a great cast for the role. I just felt like they could have done more with him. But he was very underutilized. But other than that, I mean, for the cons I do have, I will say that it is great to see that we're getting better video game adaptations coming out, because I do want to see more movies like this that are giving you not only to appease to the gamers, but also to the people that enjoy the films as themselves. So, and that kind of reminds me of what we had a few years ago with Warcraft, because I know Warcraft wasn't, I know a lot of people didn't like that one, but I liked that film was able to be not only like this, much like this one was made by the developers of the game, and was able to work as both an adaptation and also as a film itself. And I think Tomb Raider really does shine with that. So I am definitely looking forward to if they make a sequel to this, because it would definitely give me hope that a lot of video game adaptations can be really great going in the future. With that being said, I'm going to give Tomb Raider a compelling grade on the Film Freaks meter. For those of you who have also seen Tomb Raider, let me know in the comments below what you thought about it. And if you like what you see here, you can feel free to like and subscribe to my channel, and check out some other reviews here on filmfreaks.com. And I'll be seeing you here on my next review. I'll see you later.